pricing yourself at a discount price. This is a topic that I want to talk to you today. All humanitarians who are transitioning to the private sector or humanitarians who are transitioning to becoming their own bosses, this is a topic that they need to work the most because I see a lot of the time, even the other day, I was talking to an amazing client from my group coaching who was telling me that a potential employer that she was talking to, they asked how much would she charge for her services. And she said immediately, well, if I tell you my UN salary, you would probably not be able to afford it. So therefore, let me just ask you what you would like to pay me, right? So this is, I think, something that we have a lot going on currently that I keep coaching on a lot. And I want to bring to your attention in so many different ways as to how a discounted pricing can look like and why are you doing it, and oftentimes why it is harming you. And I was talking to another client of mine, and she started her own business. And it was she started her own business, I think, a while ago. I think 1 year ago. I feel, and she works with some private companies, and she works as a contractor. And in those contracting job, she receives a particular amount. So she priced her offer at a particular amount, and then she needed more money from them because she had more expenses happening, and she was so afraid to ask them for an increase of, I think, I don't know, 7% of her price, right? And then the director, CEO of the company that she provides the service to, the CEO then said, well, why don't you increase your price and tell us what the new price is so that we can consider whether we want to pay or not. And she was so horrified and terrified as to what to say and how to say, right? So you can see that there are a lot of different ways that we might be discounting our prices, or we're just so afraid of saying the numbers. We're afraid of saying even whether we can charge this much money, or you may even know this by looking at prices of other people and feel like, oh my God, I would have never been able to charge that amount, right? So there is a bit of a disconnect going on though, and I think this is something that everyone should really be aware of it. So if we're wanting to transition to the private sector, if we're wanting to do that at the mid-level career at least, if not the senior level, because we don't want to just throw away all of our 10, 15, 20 years of experience in the humanitarian sector, and we don't want to start from scratch, then we need to be comfortable saying our prices and saying it at the level that we want to, because we're going for the position that requires solving complex situations. And if we want to keep working on those, then we need to feel comfortable also saying, this is how much I charge and here is why, right? So that's the important part for us to know, that if we don't want to start from scratch and doing things at a assistant or bringing coffee to someone and feeling like we don't really want to start from that scratch, then we need to really get comfortable telling what is it that we charge and what is the solution that we bring, what is the value that we bring to the company. Right? So, in order for us to be able to do that comfortably without any problem, and especially feeling confident at the level of, I could even charge more, but let me charge this for now, we need to understand why, or what are the reasons why we might feel the need to undercharge, feel the need to discount our prices. So the first reason obviously is because we don't believe that the experience that we have, the skill set that we have is what the private sector wants. And oftentimes we come to that conclusion without ever talking to the private sector. Right? So it's so fascinating to me that our brains, our fears are so high, so powerful that our fears can dictate that this is how it is, this is the conclusion, this is the truth, without ever talking to the private sector. So that's the first reason, right? The second reason is because we just don't believe that we can solve the problems they have at the level that they want us to solve. So if we're going for a salary of 200K in the private sector, then we probably are required to be solving problems at 500,000 to 1 million. And even I was reading some news recently where they said that if you want a salary of 200, you probably need to be solving problems at 2 million level. And I was like, okay, so that's what we're gonna do. But a lot of people have difficulty even imagining how that looks like, right? And therefore, they cannot formulate their value proposition to the company and they feel so uncomfortable about it. And the third reason, obviously, is because we have just convinced ourselves about the private sector without ever talking to them as to what is it, the problems that they want us to solve and how they want to do that. And because we don't know about what is it that they're wanting us to solve, what is it that we can do to solve, and understanding, without understanding any of this, of course, our brain, fear brain, keep coming up with all the obstacles and all the reasons, all the arguments as to how we're not going to be able to do that. And that's very natural, right? Because if we're afraid of the unknown by nature, then imagine going to a field where we're supposed to be selling our expertise for 200K or more. We feel just terrified. So therefore, we need some practice of really talking to the private sector, practice of understanding what is it they want, practice of understanding how we can support them in whatever they want and get the salary and the content of the work the way that we want. We need to start talking to them and feeling very uncomfortable, and that will feel a hell of an uncomfortable feeling. And excuse me. And because it feels so uncomfortable, the natural reaction that we all will have, which is, I have nothing to offer to them. I don't know what the value that I could bring to them, and they're not going to want what I offer. And that's the conclusion we keep living by. And worse, we keep spending a lot of time applying for the humanitarian sector that maybe we don't even want to be applying for, but we just keep doing it because that just feels safe or that just feels known. And we're so afraid of the unknown, so therefore we don't want to go for it, right? So that's why I wanted to support humanitarians to really know what the value they're bringing to the private sector, know what the skill set they're bringing to the private sector, build up their muscles of confidence so that they're not undercharging or discounting their prices or panicking or confusing about their prices. And most importantly, they come to the table knowing what is it that the private sector wants specifically and what is it that we offer to solve them. That is the support that I want to bring to humanitarians. Because if we don't do that, then the alternative is we keep wondering about what the private sector wants. We keep wondering about whether we can even get a job at a entry level, like don't even think about the mid level. And then we maybe get something in the private sector and feel so bad about how we're starting from scratch and also not really liking the content of the work that we're doing and a lot of other complications, right? So therefore you can see that either we have the confidence of what is it that we're offering and being clear and standing by it, or endure all of these complications that come from us feeling non-confident and us feeling fearful about how we're not able to solve this and that, and letting ourselves go through all of these challenges. That is even more challenging than had we just learned how to network properly, how to sell our services at the level that we want to, how to have the confidence to have conversations where we are good at selling whatever that we're trying to do. That I feel is a lot easier to do than keep going through this and spending the next however many years building up a career and feeling like we're just starting again and all of the experience that we had, not even using it. And as I said, this logic applies for both humanitarians who are transitioning to the private sector, but also those who are starting their own business, right? And I will be announcing another group soon for humanitarians who want to build their businesses at least coming to 10K level, replicating their UN P3 salary. And this is the topic that we'll be talking about it as well. So whenever my clients tell me that, oh, I feel very uncomfortable saying it, I feel very uncomfortable selling, I feel very uncomfortable going through this process, I hear you, I understand you, but the alternative is then we're agreeing to go to the starting from scratch and doing things that we don't want to for the next however many years before we actually get to the level that we want to. And of course, it's also another way to go, but I feel like, does this really make sense for us to compensate for the lack of confidence with a lot of years of starting from scratch? Or can we learn how to do it confidently, comfortably, because these are all skill sets, right? And then go to the level that we want to, at the level that we want to. And of course, everyone decides for themselves, but I just want to offer that this is another possibility, is to really get good at articulating what is the offer that we're making, how are we making that offer, why are we making this offer, and what is the solution and value that we bring to that company, and how and why it is at the level that we are pricing our services at. So, my dears, if you'd like to join me in the group to work on all of this concepts, topics, and on the skills of learning how to sell your services, expertise at the level that you want to, which for many of my clients start from 100K and above, 200K and more. And if you would like to do that, then I would love to invite you to work with me. It is a group coaching for 1 year with amazing humanitarians who are wanting to do the same thing, and they're tired of undervaluing themselves, they're tired of undercharging their services, and they don't want to do this anymore, and they want to do it at the level of equal, powerful conversations with the private sector. If this is you, come coach with me. There is a link below for booking a consult with me.